Hi, let me give you an example of what's going to happen when Bakugo comes back into the narrative. You notice how nothing happened? Thank you to our final patrons, Strawbones and Aaron. Now, before we hop into this discussion about how Bakugo should stay, Bakugan, please leave your own thoughts on whether Bakugo should say Bakugan in the comments section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month to get these exclusive videos, early content, and more. Now, let's hop into the discussion. What's up, guys? I got the pencil here, and here we are to talk about why Bakugo needs to stay Bakugan, or else I will Baku cry. And, long story short, let me explain something about myself. So I'm going to make this a long story long. When I look at narratives, I typically judge them by their choices. Like, what happens in a narrative and what ramifications does that have on the narrative as a whole, and if those ramifications, based on the choice made and the choice made itself, make sense. And whatever ramification that would come across that choice, whether or not it made sense, would be useful or good to the narrative. Would that make me rate the narrative better or rate the narrative lower? And I've sat down, and I've thought, and I've talked, and I've heard, and I've listened to all the discourse around Bakugo, and whether or not he should say Bakugan or come Baku back. And I don't know. I've sat here and I've realized, realistically, we lose nothing from him staying gone. In fact, we lose more with him coming back than we do with him staying gone. And it's mainly because, right, everything this narrative has been building up to is all for one versus one for all. The quirks. That's the thing. Regardless of whether or not all for one's body is miles upon miles away and slowly disintegrating into nothingness, whether or not Deku is flying over the ocean for the next 15 years, that is what our final conflict is about. It's simply, that's it. That's what the story has been building up to. No matter how much has changed about how the story is carrying it out, whether or not the vessels have changed, whether or not whatever, that's what the story has been building to. And the thing is, right, the current holder of One for All is Deku. And he's been built up as the only individual to be able to stop Shigaraki, who currently has All for One. That's what this whole plot has been about. From literally day one, that's what One for All's purpose has been, to stop All for One. And Deku is the person who's here to stop All for One. Regardless of whether that means getting rid of the quirk and saving Shigaraki or Tenko or whatever, that's another video for another time. That is just the main premise of the narrative. No matter what trickery or mind games Horikoshi tries to throw, that is essentially what the story has been about. So, in the end, all of this is stalling. That's all it is, really. The reason Midoriya has been absent for chapters upon chapters on end. The reason these heroes are falling left and right. The reason Bakugo is Bakugan right now is because the story cannot end with anyone else taking down Shigaraki. It simply can't, no matter what. All of this, on a grander narrative scale, is stalling. So why do I bring this up? Bringing Bakugo back would be the ultimate act of stalling that I may have ever seen. Because out of all the discussion I've seen, out of everything, out of all, I've gone across 3, I'm not sure, maybe there's another social media platform I'm missing. Actually, no, 4, because I've even seen the Twitter threads. So I've gone across Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter. I've seen it all. And there's not a single person who actually genuinely believes that if Bakugo were to be brought back, he would suddenly become this omega strong, uber super crazy dude who's going to solo the narrative and beat Shigaraki. No one believes that. No one does. So I ask you, when we had this moment that was beautiful for Bakugo, wrapped up his character entirely, fit within the themes of the narrative about how all men are not created equal, ended up giving him a great death scene alongside his final goodbye to what was probably just a mental vestige of All Might, the person he looked up to for all these times, and him putting everything, his life, his faith, his trust, and his power into Midoriya, the true main character. What's the point of bringing him back? And I'm not talking about any external reasons. Every other video I've talked about this issue, I know why Bakugo's coming back. One, it's a shonen manga. Shock horror, it's made for young boys. You don't necessarily slaughter major characters in a story for young boys. Don't look at me like that, Chainsaw Man fans. And you JJK fans, stay back too. Alright? Stay away from me. But, and y'all Something Paradise fans, y'all do it too. I don't know. But regardless of that, it is a shonen manga. That's number one. For an external reason that I've already acknowledged. Number two, it's Bakugo. He's what? The favorite character in like all 8 popularity polls there have been. I don't know how many popularity polls there have been. I just know Bakugo's usually number one. It's either Bakugo or Midoriya. So obviously he's a popular character, and this is at the end of the day a product made to make money. So you don't get rid of one of your money makers. That's just not what you do. Number 3, fans. I guess this is just a general thing. This kind of falls into point number 2. You don't kill your moneymaker. But at the same time, it's also just like fear the people who give you money, because they are people and people have strong opinions. Notably, it's just a vocal minority. I'd say I feel bad for a majority of the My Hero Academia fandom because they get a lot of a bad rap. I don't think that the 0.0000001% who happen to be really, really loud on the internet make up for the entire fandom, but it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. So I get that. You don't want to upset the fans because the fans are money makers. For whatever. I bring this up just because I see it everywhere. The shippers, I don't care. I don't think Horikoshi cares. I don't think anyone really cares. Ship Bakugo the Rock for all I care. Turn him into Jason Grace. Just ship him with a brick. But there's that. I get all the external reasons why one would bring Bakugo back. But I ask this question. What happens when Bakugo comes back on a narrative level and on a character level? What happens? Here, I'll give you a little taste, like I did in the intro. I'll give you a little taste. Nothing happens. On that Zoro type beat, nothing happens. And that's why I don't necessarily get it, right? Because if I'm Horikoshi, right, and I didn't want this to happen, I wouldn't have offed Bakugo in the first place. That's the thing, right? We are only having this discussion because Horikoshi decided to make the narrative choice that he knew he could not stick to. But at the same time, as a writer, one of the things you really don't want to do is stall. Like, in the sense of, you don't want your readers to feel like they're wasting their time reading your manga or anything, really. Like, have you ever sat down and read something where it feels like, hey, this is filler, essentially, like anime filler? You ever sat down and been like, wow, this really doesn't matter? That's what it feels like if Bakugo comes back and just stalls more. At least to me, that's what it seems like. Because in narrative, unless Bakugo, and this is something I actually have heard, gets a crazy, stupid, dumb, insane in the membrane amp, where he somehow goes from just barely damaging and scaring Shigaraki to body bagging him, that's bad. Because that devalues the entire buildup of One for All versus All for One. All men are not created equal. I guess they are, because this one random kid who's been speared multiple times and literally had his heart explode and now has a not living kind of thing for a heart, suddenly can fight Prime All Might, because I guess all men do have the potential to reach Prime All Might, even though there's a whole other character in this narrative named Endeavor, the best character in the show, I will take no arguments, whose whole journey is about accepting that he is not equal to All Might, because no one is, unless you literally cheat. So if you want to tell me bleeding out, heart exploded, new Edshot amp heart Bakugo is going to body bag Shigaraki, what's the point of Deku? Oh wait, you can't. So either way, we're in this weird catch-22 situation where nothing works. Nothing at all works. Because either we bring Bakugo, in terms of bringing Bakugo back, right? Like, in my opinion, if this just fails and Edshot perishes, which I don't think anyone believes, once again, in the same vein I don't think anyone believes Bakugo is going to come back and solo the verse, I also don't believe anyone thinks Edshot's going to waste our... Then again, I don't know, it's Horikoshi. I don't think anyone's going to think that Horikoshi is going to waste our time and have Edshot do this whole big sacrifice thing with Best Genius and it mean nothing and Bakugo doesn't come back. So once Bakugo comes back, since it's pretty much, it's the plot, it's going to happen, nothing happens. Or something happens and it makes everything else devalued. Bakugo's death already a devalued thing. No matter how beautifully it was done, it's over. It's negated, unfortunately. You can't kill him, what, a third time? What, he was supposed to die? At least when he got speared through by Midoriya, got his first quirk awakening, then got his second quirk awakening. Bro, should really be dead. But if we're going to bring him back, on a narrative level, it would make sense if he does nothing. Because he shouldn't be able to, because he is not the main character, he is not Midoriya, he is not fit within the themes and narrative of My Hero Academia, which is all about the one against the one for all against the all for one. And B, on a character level, what's left for Bakugo to do? As a character, there's no more development for him, unfortunately. He's already hit the peak with his death. There's nothing for him to do on a character level, other than stand around and be like, wow, Midoriya, if once he finally arrives, you really are the strongest, just like I already said like 5 times. Okay. And on a narrative level, there's nothing for him to do, unless Horikoshi, and to be fair, it would not be the first time Horikoshi has thrown out major developments for the sake of nothing. Like, admittedly, the whole journey of My Hero Academia was the build-up of Shigaraki and Midoriya as the greatest hero and the greatest villain. However, he just randomly threw that away for All for One to suddenly meet Papa Shigaraki so we could save Shigaraki at the end, which is still stupid to me, but he did it. So it's entirely possible that Horikoshi could just decide to throw away the entire narrative of One for All versus All for One being the big final climactic thing, and just have Bakugo come back and raffle stomp Shigaraki. Because apparently he already damaged him and already scared him anyway. So I guess Bakugo, the living zombie, is going to come back and body bag Shigaraki. But would that be satisfying to you? Legitimate question. Would you be happy with that? Would this really make you say, this was our My Hero Academia? Like, would that really do it for you? And no, this is a person who loves side characters. I personally prefer when side characters are relevant. But for the longest time, Horikoshi has explained to me why every single character is irrelevant, which is why you see me not liking when Shigaraki gets damaged. Because he built him up as this indestructible superhuman wall. But apparently he's not anymore. So with Bakugo coming back, either one of two things happens. Nothing or everything. And both of those are bad. And you know what the best solution for that would have been? Either A, just don't kill him, but we're already in too deep for that. He already got off just to be brought back. Or just don't bring him back. But I think we're in too deep for that too. So we're stuck in this point where if nothing happens, it's a waste of time and more stalling and feels pointless. But if something happens, it's a devaluation of the entire narrative we built up to this point, and also really, really dumb. I just don't know where Hori's going. Like, and not in the good way. There are times where I do not know. There have been times where I didn't know where Hori was going, and I loved the end result. I had no idea what was happening with the entire Paranormal Liberation War. But chapter by chapter, until the very end, I love that mess. It's the reason I started actively reviewing My Hero Academia. But now it's like, I don't know. He's going in places unforeseen and random, and not in the good unforeseen and random. At least to me, though. This is why I want to open the floor to y'all. Do my arguments make sense? Does my ideas of how Bakugo coming back does nothing for his character because he's already completed his character, and does nothing for the narrative because the narrative literally can't progress in a logical manner if he does do something, make sense? Or do you think that I'm wrong and there's other narratives that have been built up in My Hero Academia that actually support his revival? And actually, I was about to end the video real quick, but let's talk about Edshot and the whole nothing saves somebody just because it's the saving thing to do. I think Oceans put it best, where like Edshot's not a nobody. He's not just a random dude in the verse. Like, he's a well-known hero just sacrificing himself for a kid who, by all means and reason, has shown he was pretty much useless against Shigaraki, when Edshot could possibly be a more viable combatant. So I don't see how Edshot, the number 4 hero, who we know nothing about, the reason it doesn't matter to me and pretty much anyone else other than people who will try to argue that this is good, is because we know nothing about him as a character, and Horikoshi's trying to force things in at the very last second, but it's not working. But at the same time, it doesn't fit within the themes of someone unknown coming and doing a good thing because he's not someone unknown. So there's nothing, I can't personally see any narrative value for Bakugo coming back, especially in this manner. But what do you guys think? Please tell me down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below. You can support for as low as $1 a month to get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is the guy with the pencil, writing off.